All right, back from Cabo. Let's see how the body's feeling. So, started off day one, Tuesday this week. So, ideally wanted to get in Monday, but we started with Tuesday. And this session actually went surprisingly well. I thought for sure after a few days off and Cabo travel and all of that, it was going to be pretty impacted. But what you'll see here is that this day wasn't really negatively impacted that much. Did some high bar squats to start the session, and it was my medium session day, and I was able to get up to 385 pounds for a set of four, which if you take a look here, that kind of chips away at some of the best squats that I had done recently. So was really happy with how that felt, how that moved, and like I said, was kind of surprised. From there, moved on to some snatches, and I started off with a snatch primer. Really, really enjoying this snatch primer right now, and doing it a bit of a complex here. So muscle snatches to no foot hang snatches to I've recently started including the full snatch within it so that there's a little bit better carryover when I actually get to the regular snatches. So it's not like, oh, this is the first snatch of the day at 75, 80%. Instead, I'm doing that full snatch with some of these lighter percentages as well, which has carried over really well. And if you've been following along, that 195 is going to be, it's like that weight here where it's almost too heavy for a primer, but the more refined I get with it, the more carryover it's going to have. So as long as it's not quite too heavy, it should be good. And so that's kind of what this 195 is. I'm really trying to refine it, make sure it looks smooth, feels smooth, and get better and better at it. So again, it carries over to the full snatches. And I think 195 is definitely feeling smoother for the muscle snatches, and the no foot hang snatches, it's kind of okay. But again, it's refining, it's getting better and better, and was pretty happy with this regular snatch afterwards. From there, moved on to kind of the snatches of the day, which was going to be heavy doubles, and this was the first kind of heavy double of the day at 210 pounds, and went pretty smoothly. I was happy with it. I'm kind of alternating whether I'm using straps or not, depending on how my hands are kind of holding up overall. I don't want to tear anything, but I definitely want to make sure that I'm getting into my top hand weight with just my grip as well on occasion. So this was 220 pounds, 100 kilos, and I was really happy with it. Felt really smooth. And again, pretty surprisingly, after a trip to Cabo and several days off. But this kind of just shows that the work that I did last week, where I, shortened my rest day by one day, got that work in beforehand, really, really paid off. So this 230 for two is probably the best, like smoothest set of two I had done at that weight. And as you know, last week I set a new personal best there at 235 pounds for two. So for a 2 rep max. From there, moved on to Spoto press, and I think this is probably the heaviest I've ever just kind of slapped onto the bar to start. Normally I do 135, 225, so on and so forth. But if I've already been doing warm-ups, I might start a little bit heavier. This is the first time I had started right at 275 pounds, and it was like a little rusty and heavy, but actually pretty smooth. And then I was able to move on to this 330, which went really well for a set of 7. This is 345 for a new 5 rep max, and went really, really smooth. So Spoto press has been going probably the best out of all of them. I mean, bench press in general has been going good, but this one I've been hitting some really awesome volume territory, which, sets of 5 to 8 definitely build a lot of muscle and strength, especially when you really dial in the technique. This is the last set of Spoto for the day. Did 335 for 5. And I really like to cap it off with just really good control on the last rep. So I always hold it for a tiny bit longer to make sure it's good to go. And then I just finished up with some accessories there. and then we moved on to the next day. Now, I was getting back into routine with just schedule and everything like that, so this was a bit of a funky week. I rested the following day, which I kind of wouldn't have liked to have done, but it is what it is. And then got back after this the day after that. And this session did not go as well as the first day back, which this was a bit more typical of what I would have imagined happened after a little bit of a vacation and switch of routine. But overall, not terrible. You'll see here I worked up to a single at 464 pounds, which just chips away at the best I've done in the last several low bar squat sessions. And what's nice about this rotation is I'm not hitting this every single week. I'm not hitting this this exact workout that frequently. So even with a slightly bad session, I can chip away at a block personal best. From there, moved on to bench. And bench, I mean, this whole session was a bit squirrely. You'll see in a few sets here that on the other side of the bench, there is a couple plates that are kind of in the way. And really messed me up on this next set. So this was just 330 for a set of 4, but this was supposed to be a 3-rep max, and I smacked it right there. That was really frustrating. So I adjusted the weight a little bit, or the rack on the other end, and then that 375, or sorry, that 397 you saw there. I forgot to load 2.5 on the other side, so that's why it was only 397. And so again, a bit of a weird session, but I did finish with that triple at 374, which was a block personal best, maybe of all-time personal best. So we're definitely approaching that with bench. So for a not that great training session overall, still happy with some of the numbers. Moved on to sumo next, and again, the goal was just get the work in. I knew this was another modified week, but I wanted to make sure that I got everything squared away. So I only did deadlifts from my day 2, and then I only did the bench and squats from my day 3, and that's how I was able to kind of consolidate that session a little bit. But 464 for 5 does beat my block best of 5 reps. Not my all-time best for sure, but my block best. You can kind of look here like, okay, what have I done for 5? And 464 beats that. So even with not a great position, I was able to get it done. I was happy that session was over for sure. But came back a couple days later and started the session off with some pause back squats. And these are always supposed to be pretty light. So 345 is I think, close to 60% of my max for my high bar squat. And these felt really, really good. So again, I'm probably going to cap these off at 355, but I just wanted to kind of get them in there at 345 today. But that fact that there's that close to the cap and they went really smoothly, I was really stoked with that. Couldn't have asked for better positioning on these overall. Great way to warm up and then lead into some actual snatch work. Started off with some primers again, as I normally do, some snatch high pulls and some muscle snatches, and I'm just repeating the same reps and sets that I had done earlier in the week. I knew I was coming back with a bit of a modified week, so I'm not trying to accumulate too much like stimulus from this warm-up, from this primer. I'm literally only using it to prime for my and warm up for my heavier snatches or my regular snatches of the day. Normally, I will progress these slowly as well so that I can add just a little bit more stimulus to them and keep getting generally stronger over time. But that wasn't the goal for this week, for this session. It was just get back into the groove of things. And these felt good. Pretty smooth overall. And muscle snatches are feeling really consistent. No foot hang snatches are getting better and better. I like the bar height that I'm getting on them. And overall the balance overhead, I'm really, really liking that. So from there, finished off with my last warm-up for snatches, 195. Got the weight a little bit out in front of me, which I had to correct a little bit. And then here's a no foot hang snatch, which could have gone a little bit better. So this one wasn't quite as smooth overhead, so I had to kind of regain my balance. It is what it is. But like I said, finishing off all my primers with a regular snatch. That way I can get that practice. And that felt pretty smooth. So from there, I moved on to snatches every minute on the minute. So again, that's a running 1 minute timer. And with the time that I have left, that's my rest. So this was 2:05 and went pretty smoothly. So about 40 seconds later, through 2:15 on here. Went okay, but it's always a little distracting. Someone walks kind of right in front of you. I always say it's not a studio, so feel free to walk in front of the camera. It's a little trickier when you're walking in front of somebody's platform when they're throwing a barbell overhead. That is it's a little tricky. And today was a bit of a mess. There was a guy charging his phone, running in and out. So just try to stay focused, and that's what every minute on the minute is about. It's about staying focused. There's not much time to think about what you're doing. You just show up to the bar and build consistency. So a little bit of distraction isn't the end of the world. And this was pretty solid. This was 235 pounds in my every minute on the minute work, which is great because this is the heaviest I had gone on my heavy days for a while. So the fact that I was able to do that on my light day is really, really indicating snatch has been progressing and doing well. From there, moved on to clean and jerks. And like I said, if you've been following along, you know that the last month or so, my clean and jerks have sort of been on the back burner, and I haven't quite found the spot that I like them in the routine. But that changes this upcoming week, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. But chipped away here, got that smooth 285, and then here's a 315-pound clean and jerk. And 315 is a weight that I can kind of hit on any single day, but I would have liked this to be a little bit prettier. But it is the heaviest I've done in the last month or so. So the fact that I can match that even with it on the back burner is pretty good. From there, moved on to some banded bench press. And these were 2 reps every minute on the minute. Just get the first kind of couple sets out of the way. But from there, moved on to 295. And then this is 310. And I was able to maintain 310 consistently throughout, which was really solid. Looking back, my triples, I had kind of gone up to 290, but had to come back down because it would get too difficult near the end. And then the previous set was kind of doubles and triples. And again, after 300, I had to come back down. So the week before that, which was this December 27th, I actually was using different band setup. So with this current band setup, this was a really solid session. 310 for doubles, really, really happy with that. And I think we'll see if I can kind of get my triples in the 300 to 305 range, just like a really conservative, this next one. And that way, when I go back to doubles, I can get back to the 315 for doubles. Again, with about 60 to 80 pounds of band tension added at the top, that's really solid for the triceps. From there, moved on to some banded deadlifts, and these went incredibly well. So 265 to start, 315 to go, and all I really want to do is beat 365 because 355 for triples felt really difficult, and especially in the lower back. And then the last time I had done doubles was kind of in the 365 range. So the goal was to see if I could beat that for more sets and reps. But once I got up to 365, it went really well. So I slapped another 10 pounds on each side and did this 385 for the remaining sets. And the fact that I got 6 sets at 385 for 2, that's really promising. I'm not quite sure. I haven't tested how much band tension this adds to the top, but at the end of the day, I'm not too concerned about that. I know what it feels like, and the band deadlift day is designed as a lighter day to my heavy day. So as long as I'm progressing it, I don't really care too much what the actual weight is. I know it's lighter than my heavy day, and I know it's less fatiguing than my heavy day, and I know it's progressing, right? So finish the week off with an accessory day, and I typically only do this. This is kind of like my Maj Podge day, where I look at some movements that I've missed throughout the week that I might want to chip away a little bit more work on, or I just adjust based on how my body feels. So I know I had some light front squats that I wanted to make up. So the way I started here was I did some front squat plus jerks. That way I can warm up for a split jerk that I was going to go for that day and get my front squats in first. So this is a great one just to kind of focus on mobility, positioning, and force me to also do slightly lighter jumps, slightly smaller jumps up to the split jerk. From there, dropped the front squats out because it was just a light front squat day, and finished that section with just some split jerks. So that was 285 pounds. Went okay. 315 here. Pretty smooth overall. And then I was kind of trying to see like what made the most sense from here. So last time I had done split jerks, only I hit 340. So I wanted to chip away. And it was okay. Like I would like a little snappier overhead position where my triceps are just fully extending, but can't be mad at that overall. Finished with some accessories, and here are some weighted pull-ups. First time I pulled out the 45-pound plate in a while. It was definitely making me swing a little bit, so I had to kind of control that a bit more. But I'll get accustomed to the pull-ups with the larger plate again, but happy with the progression there. Now, going into next week, here is where I will actually be changing what I'm working on a little bit. So I'm moving some things around. For the most part, probably 90% of the movements are all actually staying the same, but I wanted to really give attention more to my clean and jerk. So I made it where I switched around my clean and jerk and snatches to where I have a clean and jerk and snatch day on Monday and a clean and jerk and snatch day on Friday. In between, I've got Tuesday, Wednesday, that I'm training. Thursday is going to be a consistent rest day, and then Saturday is going to be consistent specific day as well. So Monday and Friday, so day 1 and day 4 are clean and jerk and snatch with a lighter in the beginning of the week and heavier at the end of the week. I'm putting in a couple variations there. You'll see this upcoming week. And day 2 is going to be light deadlift with my heavy bench. Day 3 will be Spoto bench press with a light squat. Day 4 will be that clean and jerk day and snatch day with some medium squats, and then the last day of the week will be the heavy deadlift with some banded bench and some light squats. So same components, just moved them around a little bit. We'll see how this feels. My goal is to shift a little bit more priority into the clean and jerks, and still be able to prioritize recovery. But usually when you shift something, it's like a push and a pull. So we'll see if I notice any drawbacks to anything else. Because if something's going to go up, something else might slightly go down. So I'll keep you posted on that, and let's see how this next week goes.